Hey guys, Sean from Living Seeds, your seed guru. Today we are talking about how to finish your garlic off strong for the season. So it's now the 16th of September, so we're basically in the middle of September. And the garlic is looking great. I mean, if you have a look at our garlic over here, these are our garlic fields. There's garlic fields behind the camera as well. There's garlic fields up there. We grow a lot of our garlic on Living Seeds Farm, and then we have contract growers that grow for us under contract. So the garlic that you're looking at in front of you, this is Eastern porcelain garlic, and it's looking stunning. It's nowhere near harvesting, and this is what I want to talk about right now, because I'm seeing on our Facebook group and on other groups, people are harvesting garlic, people are talking about harvesting garlic, people are showing garlic that is dry, and it's a case of, it's the 16th of September. Your garlic should not be harvested right now. Okay, so for those of you that are in the northern hemisphere, in the southern hemisphere, we are planting, or we are harvesting garlic in late October, November, and December. So the idea behind this video is to show you and to give you tips on how to ensure that you have a great garlic harvest. So this is a close-up of one of our garlic rows, and what I want you to see is there's a couple of things. So if you've watched my video on how to grow great garlic, you will know that in September these garlic plants start to move. They now start to grow again. They'll start putting out their flower spikes. The flower spikes are called scapes. You want to be removing those scapes. You don't want the plant to put energy into the scapes. You want the plant to put energy into the bulb. Okay, so there's a couple of things that need to happen right now. So this morning at 5:30, 6 o'clock, we were already 20 degrees outside. So it's warming up nicely. We're having a really, really good start to our spring. And what happens with this crop, especially garlic, is that the soil has to remain cool. It literally, if your soil warms up, you're not going to have a great harvest. So our staff, we've already put teams into the field. They've put the second layer of mulch on. You can see we're using straw for mulch over here. And I just want to show you how thick we actually put the mulch down. Okay, so the mulch gets put down quite thick. And the idea behind this is you want to keep this soil as cool as possible. Garlic will stop bulbing when the soil temperature hits 24 degrees Celsius. 24, it's a switch, the garlic stops bulbing. So the 6 o'clock this morning, we were at 20 degrees Celsius. The air temperature today, we're going to hit 27, 28, maybe even 30 degrees Celsius. And this will warm up your soil temperature very, very quickly. So what you want to be doing now is you want to put a nice thick layer of mulch down. Before we put the mulch down on this crop, we put our second batch of fertilization. What we put down was the Talborn Organics Vita Grow, which is a 232 fertilizer. What the 232 fertilizer does is it stimulates root growth, and we find that fertilizing now with 232, our bulb size increases dramatically. So what we want to do, you can see some of the fertilizer that got caught in the leaf over there. So what you want to be looking at is you want to be looking at this plant and you want to be counting the leaves. So 50% of the leaves over this entire field, and this is probably one of our earliest ripening garlic varieties. We'll go and look at a different variety now, but this is Eastern porcelain. Eastern porcelain is probably one of the earlier ripening garlic varieties. It does quite well in warmer soils, and you can see that the leaves are actually starting to dry off. These leaves drying off, it's not a problem. Your plant doesn't have a disease, so don't really worry about that. It's a normal progression. And I'm going to open this garlic up over here just so that we can see. I don't know if you can bring that camera closer. Okay. Okay, so you can see that the bulb has just started. It's a nice thick stem over here, but the bulb has just started. Okay. This bulb will probably double, if not 2.5 times its size. We're going to get a nice garlic bulb out of it. But what needs to happen is the soil needs to remain moist. You can see the soil over here is nice and moist. The soil needs to remain moist. It needs constant moisture. The soil needs to remain cool. If I can touch the soil over here, I can feel that the soil is nice and cool. And mulching will ensure that the soil stays moist. It'll ensure that the soil stays cool as well. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure that there is no weed pressure in these beds over here. Wherever your bed is sorry, not wherever your bed is planted, wherever your garlic is planted, you want to make sure that it's properly weeded. And if you look through our garlic fields over here, you might see the occasional weed in the center path over here, but that's not a crisis. What you want to ensure is that there are no weeds competing for resources with your garlic. If you have weed pressure inside this bed over here, you are going to have a reduced yield. Garlic does not like competition. It's not a plant, it's not a robust plant, it doesn't have a robust root system. And with weed pressure, you're going to have a smaller harvest. So this is one of the things that we do on Living Seeds Farm every single season. So we have a red sign. So this is one of our blocks. Let me just explain how our blocks work. This block is called Lima 1, and we have 6 Lima blocks. So in Lima 1, we have a number of red signs. Those red signs give us the line number so that we know what we have. And every 5 lines we'll have a red sign telling us what line number is in the block. But then what we do as well is we will actually run trials every single year, and we'll run different trials. So this trial over here, this is Eastern Porcelain, like I showed you a little bit earlier. And it's double fertilization. We fertilized with 515 and bone meal, and the variety is Eastern Porcelain. So basically what we do, and it gives you the date of the fertilization as well, which was the 12th of April 2022. So what we'll do is we will take these 2 lines. When we harvest, we'll harvest the 2 lines, and we will weigh the garlic that comes off of these 2 lines. And then what we'll do is we'll harvest the rest of the field and weigh those, and we'll work out the average weight per line over here and the average weight per line on the rest of the field. And that will tell us if this experiment was worthwhile. So we might change our recommendation in a year or two's time, because we are constantly experimenting. It's a case of we speak to a lot of people, and a lot of people give us advice on how to grow garlic, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And we say, okay, fine, that's cool, but we won't do it on an entire field. We have an established protocol that we use for growing garlic. We know it works. We've been doing it for the last 10 years. And with these trials over here, we will look and we'll see, okay, fine, these 2 lines performed better, or they didn't perform better. If they didn't perform better, the trial doesn't go on. If it does perform better, then what we'll do is we will double this trial next year, and then the year after we will double it again. And if it's still, there actually is an improvement, and there's a financial reward with regards to the size of the garlic that we're harvesting, we will then recommend and say, guys, our thinking on growing garlic has changed, and this is what our recommendations are. And our recommendations are this because we have run these trials for you guys. So as you can see here, this block over here is Purple Glazer, and this is one of the later maturing varieties. And I'll take you up, or we'll go up after this, and I'll show you in our show garden where we actually have a row of not all of the garlics that we grow, but a lot of the garlics that we grow. We have a row side by side, and we can walk down the row, and you can actually see the different types of garlic and the different maturity levels of those garlics. Bearing in mind it's the 16th of September, so we haven't actually harvested any garlic yet. So I'm going to show you the difference. You saw the Eastern Porcelain just now. I'm going to show you the Purple Glazer, just so that you can see a difference in the maturity levels of the 2 garlic varieties. So we're looking at Purple Glazer over here. This Purple Glazer, if we open it up, You'll see we have one, we have two. Here's the third leaf over here that is starting to dry. The Eastern Porcelain, I think there were 5 or 6 leaves that were drying, and there was already a bulb starting to form. Over here, there's literally no bulb forming. It's a straight stem going all the way down. So the bulb hasn't started forming yet. So garlic has a couple of things that it needs to, or a set of circumstances, and these are general circumstances. It's guaranteed that it has to be these 3 things. They're in Afrikaans we'd say an ongeveer naaste by plus minus set of circumstances. So these are a general set of circumstances that need to apply to get the garlic to bulb. The first thing is an air temperature of 20 degrees Celsius. 6 o'clock this morning we were 20 degrees Celsius. It needs a soil temperature of 15 degrees Celsius to start bulbing, and it needs 13 hours of daylight. Now, not all garlic varieties require an exact set of circumstances, but this is a mean average that you need. So some garlic varieties will start bulbing at 12 hours of daylight. Others will start bulbing at 14 hours of daylight. So it depends on the variety that you have. But what I'm trying to get across is that later maturing garlic varieties have a higher dependency on cool soil temperatures, because they will only start bulbing later in the season. And in South Africa, later in the season, our summers get warm really, really quickly. So you need to really work hard to keep the soil temperature as cool as possible. So you might find that, for example, Eastern Porcelain or Tuscan are 2 very early maturing varieties. They will do exceptionally well in areas where the soil gets warm very quickly, or they have slightly less management on their soil temperatures. Later maturing varieties, you really need to work a little bit harder to ensure that you get a good crop. What I'd also like you guys to actually understand now, it's the 16th of September, you should not be harvesting garlic. If you're harvesting garlic, if your garlic is dry, something has gone wrong in your season. Either you missed a period of watering, or that's probably one of the biggest reasons. Garlic, even though it's dormant or it's very slow growing over winter, there is most definitely a constant moisture requirement even over winter. So that's the first thing. Is probably there wasn't enough moisture in the soil over winter. There could have been too much weed competition, especially with things like grass, which really impact the maturity and the size of your bulbs as well. Or alternatively, it's really, really hot where you are right now and you don't have cool soil temperatures. Okay guys, so those of you that have been to the Living Seeds show garden will recognize this garlic bed. So this is a garlic bed where we have 11 different types of garlic growing, and the nice thing is you can come here, you can have a look at the garlic varieties. If you have a look on the names, this first one in front of the camera is Chestnut Red. They were all planted on the 12th of February, which is slightly early to plant the garlic varieties, but we thought that we would once again do a trial planting it slightly earlier. And you can see here that these garlic varieties, not one of them are ready to harvest. And it's a case of, if you're harvesting garlic now, I'm going to repeat this, but if you are harvesting garlic now, literally something has gone wrong. You should not be harvesting garlic this early in the season. And what I'll do, I'll just stop over here and we can show you. So this is Eastern Porcelain. This is probably going to be one of the earliest harvesting varieties. You'll see that these leaves have been cut off. The leaves shouldn't have been cut off, but I think they cut them off just to make the garlic look better for the open day. But what you're looking for, and yes, please don't cut your garlic leaves off. It's not what you want to do. So what you want is, you want about 50%. So this plant about here, these plants, these leaves, all of these leaves down here, because there still are a couple more leaves coming out. You can see there's leaves still coming out here, so those leaves are still going to grow out. So you want it up until about here. This part of the plant needs to dry off. You can see these wrapper leaves down here are still green. You want dry wrapper leaves. And let's just talk about the wrapper leaves. So when you harvest your head of garlic, it's got all of those white leaves that are surrounding the garlic. And each one of those white leaves or white, it's like a very thin parchment type leaf. Each one of those leaves is actually one of these leaves over here. So if you want nice garlic with nice thick wrapper leaves that are protecting the head of garlic, you want to ensure that these leaves are dry. Because if they're wet, they're just going to rot off as your head dries. But yeah, so 50% of the plant, you want 50% of the plant to be dry, and that's when you harvest the garlic. You should only be harvesting garlic late October should be the earliest. Eastern porcelain, we're lifting late October. Something else to mention, and just looking at this leaf over here, there is a little bit of rust on this leaf, and I can see there's rust starting on a couple of leaves over here. And it's quite unusual. We don't have a rust problem on Living Seeds Farm at all. So this is probably the first time that we've experienced rust on our garlic in literally 10 years. And rust is typically, if you've got rust on your garlic, if you're in a winter rainfall area, rust is going to be a problem for you. If you are watering your garlic overhead with a sprinkler of some kind, rust is going to be a problem for you. On Living Seeds Farm, let me show you, we use drip irrigation. So we use drip irrigation on Living Seeds Farm to irrigate the entire farm, which is one of the reasons why we don't have rust. So seeing this over here, it's unusual for us. The rust has just started. If the rust has just started like this, it's pretty easy to control, and what we would use is 10 mils of copper soap per liter. So we would spray the plants every, if you're controlling for rust or spraying preventatively for rust, I would spray every 14 days, 10 mils per liter every 14 days. Once you start seeing rust like this, I would bump it up, same concentration, 10 mils per liter, but I would bump it up to every 5, maybe every 7 days, and just monitor it. If the rust goes away, that's cool, go back to your preventative spraying. If the rust persists or it starts to increase, then reduce your spray interval. Guys, that's it. If you have any questions on finishing the season with great garlic, please leave them in the comments below. I will definitely answer them for you.